I'm Akash from Ministry of Films, and I'm sorry for running late. Actually, there were a couple of technical issues, and as Mr. Jay Mehta is here, we shall join. And I'm really excited to have him over here. He's actually the associate director of films like Simran, um, Shahid, Gangs of Wasseypur, and a lot more. And he's recently directed the very acclaimed Scam 1992. Co-directed it with Hansal Mehta, and I'm really looking. We'll add him as he's here. Really looking forward to this conversation where we are going to talk about cinema in general, and of course he's been a part of the industry in various ways for over 10 years now. He's also made a short film of his own, and now finally that he's actually co-directed a series which is receiving that much appreciation. I want to know how that process has been, how the journey has been, and yes, I guess he's here. Hi Jay. Am I
Hi.
visible?
Hi.
Yeah. Am I visible? Audible?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it all?
yeah. I can see you, hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, perfect. So I'm really excited that we have you here, and I
Thank
actually want to start off with your introduction to cinema. Right? When did that happen? With what films did you grow up, and what actually made you love cinema?
Oh, wow. That is such a long question. I don't think there is a straight answer for it.
Sure.
Well, um, you know, I grew up around movies. At least initially, I was
Sure.
living with my grandparents as a kid, but my father, who was a filmmaker,
Hmm.
uh, who is a filmmaker, sorry.
Right.
Um, and we co-directed the show together. And, I think he
Yeah.
was my first influence in cinema. And back then, he doesn't like people naming his older films uh, for reasons known to him. But it's I think he used to get all these great DVDs, and we used to have LDs, laser discs back then. And I remember my earliest memories were of watching films like Kramer versus Kramer, or I think the first adult film I ever watched was Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Right.
So my love for films actually stemmed out of my hatred of education. My hatred for studies. I wasn't much of a high kriti. It wasn't much of a uh, you know I don't know. I've always really loved the visual medium, and I think by the time I hit college, uh, I started watching more Hindi movies. As a kid, I never really watched a lot of Hindi films, and that is actually a weak point for me. I started watching a lot of English movies, and I used to watch. As far long as I can, I'm trying to be very coherent, but I'm being very incoherent here. But
Yeah.
uh, I watched films like Ju-on, and I remember watching the Blair Witch Project. I watched a lot of Park Chan Wook. I remember watching Old Boy. When I was maybe 13 or 14, and I wasn't really allowed to watch these movies, but
That
I
must be
still
pretty
managed.
messed up.
Very messed up, very messed up. I don't even think I understood the film when I watched it the first time.
Thank God.
It was just, yeah, it was just, it was just something that I never really expected. I don't think I knew when my love for cinema began. I just knew I really enjoyed watching them.
Hmm.
You know, uh, and then by the time I was 17, and I was actually studying in Pune then. Studies was something I was never really very good at. I wasn't extremely bad, but it's just something. So I wanted to maybe intern for some time. So I spoke to Hansal sir, and I said that, is there someone I could assist? Because he wasn't making films then. He had taken a break. And he was living in Lonavala, and he said, why don't you go meet Anurag? And I went and met Anurag Kashyap, and he had just finished shooting. He was just on Devdi, and I remember
Right.
joining in the midst of it, and everyone in the office was just listening to Devdi's songs, and Anurag being this gorgeous human being. He was very, very opening and very welcoming to me. You know, he constantly gave me lots of films to watch. And my primary job with Anurag, when I started with Anurag sir, was he'd give me lots of scripts. He used to have piles just stacked up all the way, you know. And he'd give me a script and he'd just tell me, just read all of these and tell me which one's good. It's not like he was going to make any of those, because he only made scripts he wrote, but he'd just make me read them because he wanted to keep me busy. He didn't know what else to do with me. You know, I was like this pylon. And yeah,
maybe you also wanted to know your script reading abilities, and like whether, because a lot of people in the industry right now cannot even read scripts, right? Do not know how to read scripts till now. So, was it that?
Maybe, you know, see, a lot of people don't read scripts because actually I think they've been spoiled by filmmakers also, you know. I don't think it's entirely their fault. I feel that it's, we're so used to giving narrations to people. And I actually enjoy the joy of giving a narration. I feel like it allows the producer to actually visualize the way I'm envisioning the film.
Right. Also, you in the beginning of your career, you assisted Anurag Kashyap, and then later on,
I was his assistant on That Girl in Yellow Boots, you know,
and in Wasipur also, right?
Yes, I was there throughout Gangs of Wasipur because I was helping the writers in research, and I lived in Wasipur for almost 2 months doing the research of the film along with Zishan Kadri, you know, and I was only 18. You know, by the time we got to make the film, I must have turned 19, and I turned 20 and 21 all on Gangs of Wasipur.
Wow. So, and then like between, and then after that, of course, you were an associate director with Hansal sir. So I want to know the difference in directing styles between both of them. And of course, you were also an associate director with Bhushan Patel for one film.
Yes,
and these are three completely different directors, right? So I want to know the difference in the process.
So Anurag is, you know, with Anurag, you don't really know what he's ever making. You know, I think with Anurag, what I learned was the beauty of the editing process. You know, he writes his heart out on paper, but you don't always really know how he's going to shoot this, because he's constantly rewriting scenes every night. And he comes back the next day with like this whole block of tissue paper on which he's penned down more scenes that no one but him can read. Because Anurag doesn't type. Anurag only writes. He writes by hand and he writes in Hindi.
Right.
Yeah. So it was also, you know, we had such amazing actors. And it's such a proud feeling that so many of us came out of one film, you know, which was Gangs of Wasipur.
Yeah.
It's Vicky Kaushal. Vicky was the clapper. You know, he was being clapped. Neeraj Ghewan was the continuity supervisor.
Right.
You know, Shlok Sharma, who's a great filmmaker. Also, all of them great filmmakers in their own way. You know, Shlok was the second unit director, along with Vasan Bala, who was also more than just, you know, he was just the best moral support throughout the entire making process. There were so many of us over there, you know, including Shilpa Shukla, who was, Shilpa is another very close friend of ours who was the writer with Shlok on films like Zoo. She wrote his films. Right. You know, Mukesh Chhabra came out of there. Right. There were so many of us, and we were all just like bursting. There was like Richa Chadda, there was Huma Qureshi, there was Nawaz, and of course Manoj Bajpayee, and all of these guys were freaking amazing. Jaideep Alawat, Rajkumar Rao, my God, Pankaj Tripathi. I mean, Vineet Singh, all of these guys, man. And it's amazing because we built such a bond while we were making these, you know, that I don't. I was just so fortunate to be there at the right time. You know, I think it was a game changer for, at least that's what I think it was.
Right, you know, and then with Bhushan sir and then with Hansal sir, what were the differences?
No, so I'll tell you. After we finished Gangs of Wasipur, I remember I bumped into Sunil Bohra, who was also one of the producers on Gangs of Wasipur. And I did not know him, and I was sitting in Anurag sir's office, and Sunil Bhora walked in, with his usual swagger. He just walks in and he tells, and I asked him, "Excuse me, kahan jana hai aapko? Kisse milna hai?" Because I had no idea who he was, and I was just this 20-year-old, 19-year-old guy, and he said, "मैं कौन हूँ? Anurag ka baap hu, bata." Is what he said. It was very funny. And then later, when he found out I was Hansal sir's son, is when I think he got in touch with Hansal sir. And that time Hansal sir was trying to make Omerta, was the film he was actually writing.
Oh, that long back.
Yeah. He's been wanting to make Omerta before Shahid, actually. Shahid is something that came to him one day, and then it just happened. And Sunil Bhora and all of these guys had, were in the right place at the right time. Anurag Kashyap, Guneet Monga, all of them were there. And then we worked on Shahid, but Shahid was made with a crew of 15 people. It was Anuj Dhawan who shot the film, and it was just 15 of us. I was the production boy. I was the first AD. I went and sourced costumes. I did casting. We had to do everything.
Yeah, such a lovely film.
And we made the film in 85 lakhs. So, and we shot 35 days over a period of a year. And it was beautiful. Yeah. It's great. And then after Shahid happened, Shahid took a lot of time to finish. And so I needed to make some money in the middle, because I was living in Mumbai and Hansal sir was living in Lonavala. So I had to, figure a way out. I was living out of people's homes. I was living with relatives, and I used to crash at Anurag sir's house on some days. So I read a tweet online or on Facebook. I read Tanveer Bookwala, who's a very dear friend now. He had written that looking for assistants for an upcoming horror film for the sequel of Ragini MMS.
Right.
And I was quite, I really enjoyed Ragini because I had watched it because it had Rajkumar. I'd watched it and I enjoyed it. It was an interesting format. It was like Paranormal Activity.
Yes.
So I joined Ragini MMS too, thinking that, इसमें क्या काम होगा? इसमें hidden camera है, इधर उधर लग जाएगा. उसके बाद जो काम करना है एक्टर को करना है, हमने तो सब सेट कर दिया है. And I just wanted to work on a horror film to understand how are these films made. I'd worked on such small films that we never had VFX or anything, and it's actually a very necessary skill, to have. And halfway through the shoot, not the shoot, but halfway through the pre-production, Ekta comes and says, we want to make this like a regular film. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
The sequel was much bigger. But Akash, on paper, Ragini MMS 2 was an extremely exciting project. Think about it. The premise of the story is Sunny Leone playing Sunny Leone, a sleazy producer, finds the rights, finds the hidden footage of what happened in that bungalow and says, you know what? And there is this author who's written a book about that incident that happened in the house in part 1. And this sleazy producer says, I want to make an art house film, but he casts Sunny Leone and says, we will shoot on location where that took place. So this entire film crew goes there to film and recreate the exact incidents of what happened in part 1.
Yeah.
And it just backfires. The ghost just starts killing them all off. So as a one-liner, as a pitch, it was fantastic. It just sounded like so much fun. I was like, I've done so much serious work. I want to do something that's fun and entertaining. But it was still a great learning experience. I think Ekta was very nice to me, and I was still learning and I was very new. And then after that got over, I worked on City Lights.
City Lights, right.
Yeah, that happened. And then after that, it was just like, we did City Lights, and then we went on to Aligarh. Aligarh, and then Omerta, then Simran, and it just like, then
I saw when I was just looking up online, I didn't see your name in Omerta. Were you also involved in Omerta or in Chhalang?
In Chhalang, no, I am not involved in Chhalang. Chhalang is I wasn't a part of Chhalang. I was working on Scam when they were working on Chhalang.
Right.
But Chhalang is produced by Love Ranjan, and
yes.
So
Absolutely.
no, I had nothing to do with Chalang, but I was involved in Omerta as associate producer. I was an executive producer on the film
Okay.
because by then we had started our own production company, and
Right.
it just went on from there.
Right. With your dad having one of the most interesting like changes of the cinematic language that we've seen in recent times, right? I've seen a couple of his previous films, and they weren't like okay, like you said, he's embarrassed, and I've seen that in a couple of interviews also. But
What?
they aren't necessarily terrible films, right? They have some sort of an idea behind them and all, and there's a reason why those films are made. But then what happened with Shahid is that we saw such a strong voice in cinema that I was I think 16 or 17 when I watched it when it released, and I was mind blown because it was one of the strongest. The ink scene was one of the strongest scenes that I had seen till then on
Yeah.
screen in a film. So it's brilliant. Um, I wanted to get so I've seen a lot of your social media and I for research, and I saw that there are and even through your father's films where which you have been a very important part of. I would want to know there have been some sort of political statements made through the films, even by you, right? Um, or you can even call them social at this point of time when stuff is.
Yeah.
Uh, but I want to know that would a film like, for example, Simran be made now? And you know what exactly I'm talking about. Like, would that do you think that kind of an affiliation can happen in general in this climate?
That kind of an affiliation? You mean with force like Kangna and Ansel coming together?
Yes.
You know, Simran was a great script. Okay.
You're right.
It was a great script that's it. I mean, it's just two people who didn't match, whose visions didn't match, and I I don't blame any one of them. They just came with very different ideas of how they work, and it somehow just didn't play well together. At the end of it, if someone asks me, if are you proud of Simran? Fuck yeah, I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud that I got to be a part of it, and I'm sure everyone else who was a part of the film, other than everything that happened after the film release, of course, uh, I'm pretty sure it was a very, very big learning curve for us. We haven't. We haven't really. Just a sec.
Sure. Wait, I think okay, there's another invitation. Just a moment, guys. Jay will be back in a moment.
Sorry, I don't know what
Yes.
just happened. It just like my
No.
net just conked off.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. No, man, it was a beautiful experience. We shot abroad, we learned a lot, and it was, yeah, man, it was, I don't know, some things just didn't work out, it just wasn't, maybe we faltered on the script, God knows, the production, maybe the budget was too big for the kind of film it was trying to be. We
Sure.
don't really know what happened. All we know is what we can be good at, and that is something we try to prove through Scam. You know,
Great. But you also have a set of thoughts, right? So would you indulge in casting somebody whom you do not necessarily have the same opinions with? Is also something that I want to ask. Just
absolutely.
in
Why
future.
not? I think absolutely. Why not? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't I work with someone just because they're opinionated? I think filmmaking is such a collaborative process. I can't be headstrong as a filmmaker about oh yeah, I don't agree with him, so I don't want to make a film with him. I mean, everyone's opinion matters.
Right.
Everybody's opinion matters, and it's very important for the filmmaking process. You want editors to be give you constructive feedback and say, dude, this scene's not working. I mean, throw this scene out. You can't be married to anything. You have to be open to everything, especially as a director, as an editor, or even at the writing process, because the writers are the ones who are actually the most married to their work. And it
Right.
takes a lot of courage for writers to eventually say that, I think he's right. Maybe what he's saying, he's coming from a place of experience, or he's coming from a place where he might understand this better.
Right.
And I think it's very important to take in feedback when it is given, if it suits what your vision for the story is. You don't have to take everything, you don't have to incorporate everything, but you must hear everyone out. I think it is a very, very important thing.
Right. You also made a short film, which I couldn't find anywhere to stream. But it's called Panipat. It's about
It's
the
on Hotstar.
oh, it's on Hotstar. Then I shall catch it right after this. It's about the water crisis in Panipat, right? As much as I
Yeah.
could.
No, it's not about the
So
water crisis in Panipat. It's actually a story about a housemaid who works
okay,
at someone's home and then goes back to her house. She's working at this house where she's cleaning, washing clothes, and there's loads of water. She's scrubbing the floor, she's cleaning the vessels, and there's just like this, insane amount of water that is being wasted. And she finally takes a train, goes back home to absolutely no water. And it's actually the story of one day. And
yeah,
and it's something Disha Rendani, who is also the writer of A Death in the Ganj. She and I wrote it together, and we, I had a very strong team. My cousin sister was my AD, my cousin brother was my on-set photographer. we just we just went and made it, and it was also made for a cause. It was made for World Earth Day, and it was produced by Endemol Shine and National Geographic. So it's actually
this
a short film about the disparity of water distribution between the classes. So I live in Lokhandwala. My maid who lives in that vicinity, just maybe 500 meters away from my house, and I get water 24 hours. And she lives right next to my house in a slum. Why doesn't she get water 24 hours? you know she pays her taxes, she pays her bill, she pays electricity bill, she pays everything. Why am I more privileged with 24-hour water and electricity, and why aren't they? So it's actually a
yeah.
story about the disparity of water distribution in a city like Mumbai.
Yeah, this sounds like also the bit in you've seen Parasite, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so it sounds like that scene
Perfect.
where
I
they
mean,
go
I,
back.
I don't think I want to compare my short film to Parasite.
Yeah, yeah.
Parasite is
No, but on a conceptual level, there's that one scene where they go back home and the house is all flooded. Of
yeah.
course, there's no water scarcity over there, but there's this it's about the disparity too. Like I think it sounds similar in those terms. So yeah, sounds great. I shall catch that soon. Then I wanted to ask that after that, from making a short film, moving on to something as long format as a 10 episode, 9.5 hour long show, is how difficult was that transition where you're seeing that okay, now my duration is that your start, middle, and your first act, second act, third act change completely, right? So what happens with that?
There is no such thing as act. I think everything goes out of
Sure.
the window when you're writing a series. You are writing in acts, you are trying to follow some form of structure over 10 episodes, but instead of looking at it as, your first act is the first 40 pages, and then your second act, which is your longest, is around 60 pages, and then the last 20 pages is your third act. You don't have that structure, doesn't exist. That structure exists over 600 pages. So your first act is your first 3 episodes. It's your setup, and but I don't really know how to pinpoint how a series is really written. I think it just has to be the right kind of storytelling. I think each episode stands its own ground,
Mhm.
and it was exciting because the Hansal sir was already developing the show. I was brought in much later. They had already finished writing a very big chunk of it, and I joined the show maybe 4 months before we started pre-production, and we were just like finishing the last leg of script drafts, and then we were, through a very, very grilling writers' room, which was going on with all of us sitting. But ultimately, I think the writers are the real heroes of the show. What would we do without them? I mean, they've really worked. It's tough because they were writing it for almost 1.5 years before I walked in,
Yeah.
and they were working with Hansal sir, who also had the patience to wait for a year and a half after they got the rights of the book, after Applause came on, to write, flesh out the story, draft after draft, And Sumit
Yeah.
and Saurav are freaking champions.
Right. On the channel, we spoke with Sumit actually a couple of days back,
Yeah.
and he was speaking about how it took, like, he was actually a share market virgin, right, per se, and it took
All of
him
us
a
were.
lot of time to understand. It took him a lot of time to understand the terminologies, but then, like, he's like, writing समझ आ गई थी, तो character समझ आ गए थे, तो वो काफी था,
So I
and
think
it was.
Sumit's in a lot of the story and the screenplay. Saurav is the real geek. I think Saurav knows the market better than anybody now.
Right,
Saurav is
using.
the intensive research, and and they both just gel beautifully together. I think they complement each other's work beautifully, and I was very fortunate to be brought on to a show, which had such a great team already put together. You know,
Right. And it's getting so much appreciation from each and every quarter, right? This is probably the most noise I've heard for a show in a while. It is doing for also for the channel that it is on. It's doing the same thing that, say, I remember a Sacred Games doing for Netflix. I remember Mirzapur doing for Prime. I remember recently Arya doing for Hotstar. The same thing is done by Scam for Sony Live. It has, everybody's appreciating it wherever I open Twitter and I only see appreciation of Scam. So how's it been? Like, how have the past few days been? The past, I think, 5 days. How's that?
ah, I don't really know. it's been it's been funny because sometimes I feel like, maybe maybe we're the only ones seeing appreciation. We're not seeing anything else. Maybe it's just our timelines. Maybe no one has really watched it, and it's only people we know and people that follow us that have watched it. Sometimes it's just so hard to believe. ऐसा लगता है कि बस मेरे timeline पे अच्छा है show. It's like saying that ये picture सिर्फ आराम नगर में चली.
No, but this one has literally, like, even the audience has caught on to it. I've, like, wherever I see, it is not just the critical appreciation, right? I'm saying even for the previous films which were made by Ansal sir, a lot of them were, say, Shahid got a lot of appreciation. There is no negativity around it, but it didn't reach everywhere. I think Scam has reached the places where a lot of his films also hadn't, in a while. So is that reaching you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the kind of phone calls, the tweets, the messages that we're getting, and we have received this kind of love before for our films, but I was actually, I was talking to Pratik and Shreya yesterday, who star in the show. And I was
Right.
talking to Hemant and all the actors, we just like caught up yesterday evening, and we were talking, and I said, Hansal sir and I worked on Shahid, and of course he directed Shahid and City Lights and Aligarh and Omerta, and I've been through that journey with him, but and he has won a national award for the film before, for
Right.
Shahid before, he has got a lot of critical appreciation with Mami for Aligarh or Omerta,
Right.
and Toronto Film Festival, everything. But
Right.
I personally feel I don't think we've ever felt success,
Right.
because this is a different kind of validation when everybody is watching it and we are not being judged entirely by box office numbers, because even if people loved Shahid and all, I mean, we never really made, our films never made that kind of money to make everyone feel like, yeah, super hit film hai, or whatever, you know. And I think it is such a liberating feeling to know that there are no numbers, and all we are seeing is, you know, what people are thinking about it, and they're not, their, you know, their perception of the show is not based on how much the film or this thing has earned or how many views it has. They're just watching
Right.
it and telling us what they think about it, and I think that is such a powerful thing. That's the power of the digital medium.
Absolutely. There's a very interesting question. Wait, I shall. Yeah. Does it show on your screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
So, what kind of films are you the most interested in making?
Oh man, this is like I want to make a lot of films. I want to make a lot of drama. I actually I love thrillers. I love horror. You know, I love watching films with gore. I'm a huge Mirzapur fan. I love Mirzapur. You know, whatever said and done, people can say it's too filmy or it's some people. I've read people writing mean things like, you know, ये तो gangs of Wasipur का मतलब छोटा भाई है
हाँ.
or whatever. यार मतलब लेकिन इतना entertaining है. You know, at the end
Right.
of the day, even I want to have fun, yeah. You know, and I think I want to. There are stories I want to tell. I want to tell sweet family stories. I want to tell stories that my sisters, Kimaya and Rihanna, they're, you know, one's 14, one's 12. You know, they're young. I want to make something that they can also watch. You know, I want to make something that children can watch that, you know, does not come with a PG-16 or PG-18.
Right.
I want to make something fun, and that is, I think, that is something we tried to do with the Harshad Mehta scam. With Scam 1992, we did try and make it
Right.
as accessible or as entertaining as we could for the kind of show it is.
Sure. Sure.
You know,
Anything recently that you watched that you'd like to say that you loved a lot in recent times?
damn. Uh, no, nothing's really coming to my mind right now. But I actually just started watching. I just finished watching Cobra Kai.
Right.
But Cobra Kai is something I was doing as like a break. It was like, it was such a fun thing to relive that nostalgia of Karate Kid. I really
Right.
enjoyed
It's
it. But I've actually started watching The Haunting of Bly Mansion
oh
on
right.
Netflix.
Have you watched
Of-
The Haunting of Hill House?
Huh?
Have you watched Haunting of Hill House?
Yes, I have, and I've just started watching the second season.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and it's
I'm a
quite,
huge
it's
fan of
very very deep, very gripping, and you know, I haven't watched Ozark, and I have just started watching Ozark, and I'm pretty blown by it.
Right. Of
You know,
course.
it's phenomenal storytelling. It's, you know, I just wish we get to make something like that, and I find the story that good and that compelling to tell.
Absolutely. Shall be expecting that of you now.
Yeah.
Also, what's next? What's in the pipeline as of now?
Right now,
Yes.
in the pipeline is going away for at least a weekend out of town, if I can, through this entire pandemic situation. Getting out
Right.
of town just for a weekend.
Hmm.
You know, gathering my thoughts. There are a few things that have come, which I can't really
Hmm.
name because they aren't finalized yet.
Sure.
You know, but they are very exciting projects, and I will have something soon. You know,
Yeah.
I will have something
Does
soon.
format matter? Does format matter?
Not anymore.
That's great.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
At least not for me. I'm sure producers feel, obviously, for a producer, the theatrical medium is very lucrative in terms of business. You know,
Right.
but as a filmmaker, I don't think I love the digital medium. I think it is so liberating.
Absolutely.
Why would I want to get into the pressure of a theater when, you know, I can tell amazing stories with new actors, you know, new technicians, or, you know, new collaborators, and
Right.
be at the mercy of box office.
Right.
When that
Makes
is
sense.
actually a challenge in itself, but I don't know if that is something I want to.
Yeah, and that's great. Like with you, like a lot of us having grown up on actually films which only used to be released in theaters, right? You've worked on a lot of those. You've seen the pressure of those, then made a short film, and now making a series. The fact that I really think that at this point, platform makers being platform agnostic is very important. Only then will content be the same, right?
You know,
Of the same.
see, I feel currently, going away from the question you just asked, I feel what we need right now is more platforms. You know, we can't be bound by only 4 platforms, because that makes the development of content very limited.
Right.
You know, we need more platforms that can compete. We need to empower platforms just the way they empower us. You know, by giving them good content and allowing them to be competitive in a market that is so competitive. You know,
Right.
I'm
That's
very happy. Honestly, I'm so happy we are on Sony Live. I don't think I would have it any other way. You know, why
yeah.
not? I mean, why not? There are so many people that said, why not Amazon? Why not Netflix? I was like, why not Sony Live? What is the problem with Sony Live? What is the problem? I mean, why do I need that kind of validation? I mean, of course, one day if Netflix does agree to a show with us, I mean, of course I'll work with them. But if Sony Live was there supporting us, why not? If Applause was there supporting us from the beginning, and Applause, being the producers of the show, feel that this is the right move, I'm going to trust their gut because they know what they're doing.
And absolutely, I've seen so many people actually subscribing also to the channel in the past few days.
Exactly.
And I think every good show can do that. Every good piece of film or show can do that. But there's one comment right now which is actually pretty interesting, which says that doesn't sound very audience friendly, which is talking about how everybody will have to buy different subscriptions. Right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. But honestly, I feel, sorry, yeah. So to answer that comment, I feel, the more they keep making, I feel there will be the chance of them also dropping their subscription rates. The subscription rate. You know.
If there are more subscriptions, yeah, not all platforms have the courage to showcase political agnostic content. Okay,
That's
yeah,
not true. That's not true.
yeah,
That's
it's
not true.
but
I think that's entirely based on the filmmaker. Yeah.
right, of
That's not
course,
true.
that I agree with. But yeah, with I think the platforms might have to also come together and actually make decisions on how to go about the pricing and all if the competition does increase.
Yeah.
Which yeah, it makes sense at some points, but of course it's a very it's a very long argument. It's a very far-sighted argument too. But sure, this is actually this has been a very interesting conversation, from talking about growing up on certain kind of films to now actually making those kind of films and planning to do the same in the future. So this has been great, Jay. Thank you so much for this. Wait, you just seem to wait. Uh, I think you're supposed. I think yeah, okay. Are you back? Hello. Can you see
Yeah,
me?
I'm back.
Yeah. So music. So there's one more comment. I just want you to read this before we end it. Just,
I can't read it.
it's just
It's not showing up here.
it's in music of scam is lit and it holds you to the scenes.
Yeah, I agree. And the boss man is Achin Thakkar, man. I think Achin is like, and
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've known Achin for a very long time. He was in a very popular college band called Rosemary, and I was like a small groupie that would just hang around with them because they were the cool kids. And I don't know if you know the cinematographer Harshvi Oberoi.
No, I don't know
He's
that.
just finished. He's the cinematographer of Tesh, and he shot Arya.
Right, Tesh, which
The
is
series.
just about to
Yes.
right?
So Harshvi Oberoi is the cinematographer, and Harshvi Oberoi was a guitarist in that band. Achin Thakkar
Oh,
was also on the guitar, and he'd play the drums once in a while. And Karunesh Talwar was the vocalist of that band, the comedian.
oh, the stand-up comedian. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Wow. And then the band is over here working and it sounds like such a great collaborative effort, and it is well deservedly one of the most appreciated shows out there. And congratulations on that. Thank you so much for having this conversation, Jay. I really had a good time. I hope you did too.
Thank you.
This video shall be available on the Ministry of Films channel on the IGTV for perpetuity. Thank you so much for doing this, Jay. I hope you had a good time.
Thanks, Akash. Thanks a lot. Bye.